For the audience tonight, my name is David Friedendahl. I am the mayor of Glendora and serve as the presiding officer of the city council meeting. In consideration of others in the business conducted tonight, please silence your phones and any electronic devices and refrain from speaking unless recognized. If you're in the audience and wish to speak during the public comment and/or public hearings, a speaker card is located in the lobby at the rear of the chamber. Please fill out the card, submit it to the recording admin before the close of the public comment section. Again, this is a public meeting for the community of Glendora. We appreciate and respect your participation in this evening. Madam Clerk, looking at the dais, all the members of the council are present and accounted for. And at this time, I would like to invite the city attorney to read us into closed session.
Yes, Mayor, honorable council members. There are 3 items for closed session discussions tonight. The first concerns real property negotiations, which is authorized pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.8 regarding that certain real property located at 1762 Dale Road, known as APN 8631013023. The second is with respect to existing litigation, which is authorized pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9D1. And the title of the litigation is Roger White versus the City of Glendora, case number 24-179539. And the third is anticipated litigation, which is authorized pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9D2 and E1. As a result of a point has been reached based on the advice of legal counsel that there is significant exposure to litigation based on facts and circumstances that could result in litigation against the city, but are not yet known to any potential plaintiffs.
Thank you, sir. At this time, I'd like to open for public comment and invite anyone in the audience to speak. Seeing no one present, I will ask if we have anybody online on our hybrid version wishing to speak.
We do not, Mayor.
We do not. Thank you very much. Seeing such, I will close public comment and recess us into closed session at 5:03. Thank you very much. I turn on my green light, then I know I'm in good shape. Welcome. Thank you for your attendance this evening. For the audience, I am David Friedendahl. I am the mayor and the presiding officer of the city council meeting this evening. Everyone is present on the council. We did meet at 5 o'clock in closed session and met until 6:45. So I would like to reconvene this meeting back into open session at 7 o'clock and ask our city attorney to read us out of closed session, please.
Yes, Mayor, the council met in closed session on 3 items. The first was with respect to real property negotiations, which is authorized pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.8 regarding the real property located at 1762 Dale Road. The second was a matter pertaining to existing litigation, which is authorized pursuant to Government Code Section 54956D1 to confer about the litigation titled Roger White versus the City of Glendora, case number 241795539. And the third was with respect to anticipated litigation, which is authorized pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9D2 and E1 due to facts and circumstances that might result in litigation against the city, but which the city believes are not yet known to the potential plaintiffs. On each of these matters, staff gave a briefing to the council and a discussion was had, but there was no reportable action on any of these matters.
Thank you, Mr. Attorney. And before we get started, I would like to remind anyone in the audience, if you have electronic devices that might interrupt you during this session, please put them on silent. And with that, we'd like to lead into our invocation and Pledge of Allegiance. Tonight's invocation will be offered by the Reverend Michael Kordich from the First Baptist Church of Glendora, and followed by our Pledge of Allegiance offered by St. Lucy's student Alexa Strait. So, Pastor?
Thank you. Let's begin with a word from Psalms. It says, "The Lord brings the counsel of the nations to nothing. He frustrates the plans of the peoples. The counsel of the Lord stands forever, the plans of his heart to all generations. Blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord." Let's pray. Father God, you are the sovereign Lord of the nations, but not just the nations, our states, our counties, even our cities. That you are sovereign here in this place, and that a city is blessed when they seek your face and they seek to follow your rules and your laws. But Lord, to do that, we need your wisdom. And we ask that you would impart your wisdom to these, our council members, that they would adjudicate according to your laws and according to your ways and according to your rules, that they would uphold justice, they would give honor to where honor is due, and they would do what is right and holy in your sight. Lord, we ask that you would be with this council meeting, that there would be grace in the conversation, that there would be peace in the hearts of men, and that there would be mercy to where mercy is needed. Lord, we pray for your presence to be here, leading and guiding with all wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. We ask this in the name of Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor. And if you'd please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Reverend Kordich, and thank you, Alexa. We now get a little fun to start our meeting and catching up on our high school reports. We've not had one for many weeks, so it'd be interesting to learn what the students are doing in our community. And I'd like to invite our first representative from Charter Oak High School, Mitchell Gibbons. Mitch.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me. So in November, on November 6th, we held a blood drive where students and staff volunteered to donate blood to those in need. During the same week, we had an NCAA college info night for families and students to learn more about certain colleges. During the middle of November, our Charter Oak Theater Department presented the musical Anything Goes, which was on for 2 consecutive weekends and was a big hit in our community. Notable conclusions of our fall sports were our volleyball team, which made it to the CIF semifinals and advanced to round 2 of our state playoffs. Our football team, who took home the Mayor's Cup after winning our annual rivalry game. Our boys' water polo team were the Valley Vista League champions, and girls' flag football were also the Valley Vista League champions, and they also brought home the inaugural league title. In December, after Thanksgiving break, we held National Signing Day on December 4th, where 8 student athletes signed their letters of intent for their respective colleges. On December 6th, our football program held a clothing drive fundraiser for those in need, and on that same weekend, our choir department performed their winter concert. In January, after returning from winter break, on the 6th, we held an academic assembly where over 500 students were recognized for their academic prowess as well as perfect attendance. On the 21st, our drama department held auditions for their upcoming production of Newsies. And the following day, on the 22nd of January, our IB coordinator, Mrs. Archer, held an IB info night to inform interested students and parents about our IB program. Our winter sports update is as follows. Boys basketball is 3-17. Boys soccer is 2-12 with 1 tie. Girls basketball is 10-7. Girls soccer is 7-6 with 1 tie as well. Girls water polo is 0-8. And our upcoming events at Charter Oak include Parent Registration Night, which is this Thursday, and our Remembrance Walk, which is the morning of February 1st, and is held in honor of loved ones and to support the Charter Oak Community Scholarship Foundation, as well as the Charter Oak Educators Association in assisting with student scholarships. Thank you for your time, and that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mitchell. Always great to hear about Charter Oak, so thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Next, we invite our student rep from Glendora High School, Lily Lusk. Lily?
Hi. As our students wrapped up the first semester of the 2024-2025 school year, or semester, sorry, we fundraised with Crumble Cookies in order to motivate our students to not crumble under the pressure of finals. Our GHS ASB classes have hit the ground rolling this semester. Tomorrow night, we'll be hosting our skate night at Skate Express in Chino Hills. Those tickets are on sale now. Tickets are currently being sold for students who wish to attend our Sadie's Hawkins dance. This dance allows for students to endure in a fun Girls Ask Guys, or you can go with a group. Students are asked to match accordingly with their date or with their group. Sadie's is on Saturday, February 8th. This is an exciting time for all GHS students as action time is approaching. The theme will be revealed at our spring assembly on February 7th. We are super excited and proud of our hundreds of donations we were able to raise towards those suffering with cancer during Whiteout Cancer Week. Tartans are super excited to spread kindness during Kindness Week. Kindness Week is approaching shortly, and our ASB classes have worked hard to put forth daily activities and giveaways for our students on campus to encourage kind encounters. That being said, our high school students prepare to take on Kindness Crew on February 10th. High school students will go to the elementary schools and welcome the younger students to school. We are super proud of our boys basketball team as they are currently undefeated in league. Our students are preparing for a fun but busy season. Thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Lily. And last but not least, from St. Lucy's Priory High School, we have Alexa Straight. Welcome, Alexa.
Hi, thank you for having me. Good evening, Mr. Mayor Friedendahl and esteemed City Council. My name is Alexa Straight, and I am a senior at St. Lucy's Priory High School. Since our last meeting, there has been so much happening both on and off campus. In November, our ASB and class officers went to CATA, a California Youth Leadership Conference, where everyone attended seminars focusing on a variety of topics. Following this, students and staff enjoyed an afternoon at Disneyland together. The next day, the senior class office upheld the tradition of hosting an election rally. This was celebrated with a trivia competition, dance performance, and mock voting. It was a fun way for students to get both informed and involved with the election. In between Thanksgiving and Christmas break, the school was in a race to the finish. Everyone was focused on the upcoming tests, whether it was their first finals or their second to last. Amidst the studying, our school celebrated Christmas with our second annual Christmas tree lighting. Students also brought donations for the Gifts for Girls drive in an effort to give presents to others our age. Coming back to school was a great challenge due to the fires. Much of our region community was personally affected. Everyone faced a different challenge, and our campus was vacant for a day or two. In addition to active prayers, we have been rallying donations for the first responders and those affected. It has been a trying time, and we continue to pray for and support anyone near the danger. We continue to look towards the future as a group of students prepared for their inauguration trip. Our students got a chance to visit Washington, D.C. to witness and live through history. They visited many renowned sites such as Arlington National Cemetery, Mount Vernon, the Lincoln Memorial, and Capitol Hill. Everyone who went thoroughly enjoyed it. Our campus is preparing for so many events in the near future. We formally invite the Chamber and any other pillars of Glendora to our coffee with the community. Us Regents would love to express our gratitude on February 11th with coffee and pastries. This will be from 8:30 to 10:30 on our campus. On the same day, we have a blood drive hosted by our Future Medical Professionals Club. Anyone interested is welcome to attend. We are also preparing for our annual bash, a gala evening that raises funds for our school. This is a night of fine dining, live entertainment, auctions, and dancing. We would love to have members of our community join us this Saturday, April 5th. Our community has also been very active in our faith. 2 classes have received their special masses, juniors earning their ring, and sophomores earning their medal. This week, we celebrate Catholic Schools Week, where we thank God for the education and community we have been blessed with. Each day is another activity, such as an Otter Pop toast, to make the occasion special. We have another Mass on Friday to wrap up the week. Additionally, seniors have their long-awaited Kairos. This is an annual retreat where they spend a week in the mountains. It's highly confidential, making this a mysterious experience that brings seniors closer together and closer to God. The leaders have been meeting since October, and they can't wait for next week. Our sports are mostly through with their seasons. Water polo is wrapping up with their league tournament, playing 3 games this week. Soccer has been doing the best they've played in years. They are winning a majority of their games, only losing by a point or 2 in very close games. Basketball is doing really well in both games and roster, having a bigger team than we've seen in years. This year, we started our first ever girls wrestling team. These 3 girls compete alongside Damien High School, making history with each match. We are so proud of our girls who have been successful as individuals and as a team. Our spring sports are already in motion. Track has been practicing for weeks, swim is starting soon, and softball is already practicing. Thank you again for giving me this opportunity to present, and I can't wait to be back next month. Have a good night, stay safe, and God bless.
Thank you very much. And to all the students, we welcome this input of information and the examples of your leadership. So congratulations on that, and thanks for joining us. Good evening. And next, we move to the reordering of the agenda. Does anyone wish to reorder, add, or change the agenda? Oh, okay. Moving right along, we'll move into our public comment process. Public comment is an open period. We invite members of the public to address this legislative body. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes, speaking once on both on or off agenda items. If you're in attendance and you wish to speak, kindly fill out a speaker card. It's a yellow card you can find either at the podium or on the counter in the back door. And you'll be recognized. Please come up to this speaker podium and share your comments. If you have any questions or any correspondence, you may offer that with our clerk. So at this point, I have 1 card in my hand. It's Karen Fortis Garcia. Ms. Garcia.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. My name's Karen Fortis Garcia, and I'm with the Glendora Historical Society. And I wanted to bring to your attention an event that we're having. It's our 2nd annual Women of Distinction. I hope you all got the flyer at your space. It's our 2nd annual Women of Distinction. It's a kickoff this year to Women's History Month. We're going to celebrate on February 28th here at the Bidwell Forum. From 4 to 6 p.m., we have 12 amazing women that we're going to recognize from some from Glendora's past, as well as some current members of the community today. It should be an amazing event, and we just invite you all to attend and be a part of it and help us recognize these women. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Looking forward to the event.
Thank you.
Are there any other speakers in the room that wish to speak? No? Madam Clerk, do we have any correspondence?
We do not, Mayor.
Okay. With that, I will close public comment. Return to the members for statements and comments, and Ms. Elias.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've already shared my comments privately, but because I feel like the public doesn't always realize all that City Council does and all the things that we're involved in, I also wanted to take an opportunity publicly to congratulate two of my colleagues on the election to some regional boards recently. Karen was recently elected to the board of the San Gabriel Valley Regional Housing Trust. And Michael was recently elected as third vice president of the governing board at the San Gabriel Valley Council of Governments. Additionally, I was elected to a board at Southern California Association of Governments. And I think it's important because it gives Glendora input into regional housing and other topics that are happening throughout Southern California. So I thought that was really neat, and I wanted to congratulate my colleagues on that. This week, I will be attending a conference put on by the League of California Cities for new council members. So I start that tomorrow, Wednesday through Friday. I'll be down in Garden Grove learning all the things about city council. So I'm looking forward to that. And that's it.
Did you share that you got elected to serve as on our Southern California Area
Yes.
Governments Task? Okay,
Yes,
thank
yes, on the regional council.
you. SCAG, yes. Yes. Thank you very much. Mr. Thompson.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. And I just want to say just a continued thank you to everyone and all of the groups that are in our city who are reaching out to support those that lost homes or were affected by these fires. It happens every day that I hear of a group of people, whether they're students or people that are my age or just random folks that are doing whatever they can to support those that were affected. And I just want to say thank you. And it really speaks a lot about what our city is and how we lean into those that are in need and put ourselves aside. So thank you. Just keep it up. It wasn't that far ago that the Colby fire touched us, and it was nothing like the fires that we have seen. But it was a scary, scary sight. So thank you for just being the people that I know that we all are, and appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Mendel. Karen.
Thank you. And I wanted to follow up a little bit on what Mendel was referring to, that assisting those who have been victims of the recent fires. Unfortunately, not everything is warm and fuzzy. That yesterday in the Washington Post, unfortunately, the city of Glendora was mentioned as the leading city that is price gouging for rental properties. It showed that the city of Glendora, before and after the fires, there was 150% difference, which is not only wrong, but illegal. So to the property owners out there that are renting properties, don't do that, please. And you may say, oh, newspapers don't always get it right. So I took one listing just to do a case study for myself, and that one listing had increased their rent 21% from right before the fire and right after the fire. The law is 10%. So they were 11% beyond the law. So my words are that as we continue to want to help those people and are empathetic, that to help them means to do that in all aspects and to not take advantage of anyone at your own benefit. So please, if you are a landlord, please do not take advantage of those who have been so devastated. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Michael?
Thank you, David. This last Friday, I traveled to Sacramento for a league committee meeting, this Governance, Transparency, and Labor Relations. I was there for one day, and it was quite a day. First off, the rules for the Senate has changed, as well as the Assembly. They used to be able to get 50 bills they can put through on a cycle for the Senate, and 50 for Assembly and 40 for the Senate. Now it's been reduced to 35. Last cycle, the legislature passed almost 1,100 new laws, and hopefully this will curb some of that, which is greatly appreciated. We also adopted a work plan for 2025, and these are the topics that the whole committee came up with to have as part of the work plan. That's artificial intelligence, labor relations, the Brown Act, technology, elections, I would imagine it's election integrity, Public Records Act, because that was a big topic about the overflow of the demand from cities for public records requests, pensions, workers' compensation, and healthcare. This is all in an order from the top to the bottom of its importancy. We had passed here on the dais a resolution with the League of California Cities that started actually last June, and it went all the way through the process. It went to the General Assembly, it passed there, but they didn't have a quorum, so it went to the Executive Board. The Executive Board kicked it back to the Policy Committee for us to review it and to wordsmith some of the language. So we did, and it was a unanimous vote on this, and so it's going to go to the Executive Board next month on the consent calendar, and hopefully it will finally pass, and it'll be 9 months out of my life that I can finally get behind me and be done with that. So I thank the league because they put a lot of hard work into it, and a lot of the members as well. What was really interesting to watch is we probably had over 60 or 70 people in our committee, which is huge. And they're all complaining about the same thing, about being overregulated and wanting help. In fact, what we had passed for this, for what we wanted to have the policy for transparency as well as fairness between what the legislature does to us over here, most of the members wanted to actually make the language stronger and harsher, and because they're that upset. And we able to land on some language, and in it passed, like I said, 100% with not one person saying no, which I was pretty grateful for. So thank you, that's all I have.
Well done, thank you. I would like to echo the acknowledgement of the achievements and accomplishments of our neighborhood, to reach out to our neighbors and neighboring communities to help through these tough times with the recent devastating fire events. And many in the community may have actually learned, as we did just late yesterday by chance, some of that remediation process is coming closer to home. It's sort of a done deal, but some of the particulars of it are still unclear. But it appears that through the direction of the federal EPA and the president's mandate, that cleanup is to begin right away in our local neighbor Altadena, which is fair that cleanup needs to occur for those poor folks that have been devastated by this. Some of the cleanup is going to involve a sort and sifting of potential hazardous and at-risk materials as debris from the fire, and that material is to be transported in some fashion to a property owned by the Army Corps of Engineers, the Lario Park, which is at Foothill and the San Gabriel River in the city of Azusa. The challenge is, while that in itself may not be the problem, I think the real challenge is the governments were somewhat blindsided by the timing of it and the information and the awareness of this happening until it was a completed deal. So our neighboring communities are becoming quite vocal. We've lent in to support their concerns, and waiting to see exactly what that might involve as to how that remediation process is going to be done. And then from that site, where the goods may end up going and what routes. So we don't know. There's some concern that the local governments there may not have been involved in the decision-making and the practices and the procedures. So they're quite upset. And I don't think that's an unfair position to be in on their part. They would have liked to have been brought to the table and shared with what the process is. Some of the timetables that are happening are not with what was reported, so a lot of discomforts in the local areas that I think are being worked out. So that's all I have to share, but I'll certainly add that if our city manager has additional information or comment, please do.
There we go. I think you did an excellent job, Mayor, sort of outlining some of the challenges. Just to recap, a special council meeting tonight in Doherty, and I believe in Azusa as well, to address a lot of their citizens' concerns. It is unclear if the county maintains the park or had a say in the agreement with the EPA through the Army Corps of Engineers. It is federally owned land that's there. The EPA has pointed to a quote-unquote presidential mandate to get it done at that location. They have acknowledged that the items being sifted may be hazardous when burned. Whether how that impacts any large-scale rain events or the adjacency to some of the watershed that's there. We've reached out to the county, who is not saying too much, and they, at their board meeting today, also seem to be not very aware of some of the facts. It is very apparent that the cities impacted had no idea until they either saw it on the news or found out in the 11th hour. Cities of Azusa and Monrovia are also pretty upset with a lot of the hazardous waste that's being transported on city streets, not the freeway. And even what the potential impacts are of thousands, what will be probably tens of thousands of truck trips. There's also a congressional meeting locally, I believe, tomorrow night or Thursday night. There are lots of questions. Congressman Cisneros has asked, how long will it occur? How long will it be there? Is this just because you need to show progress in Altadena and don't want to sort on site, so you're moving it to another location? All those questions have been asked in an open letter, and if Congress, people or members of Congress are not getting information, it's difficult to think that we will as well. So understanding there's a lot to be determined, we don't have all the answers. We'll be trying our best to understand sort of what's going on and if any of that material will be subsequently transferred through the city of Glendora to its final place. We'll keep everyone updated as we know more. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. Danny, any comments?
Nothing from me, Mayor. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. That brings us to our next item, and under special items, a report from the Glendora Police Department on our quarterly updates. And making that update will be Captain Chris Stabio. Captain?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. Before I forget, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about low-speed vehicles and e-bikes. We have received a fair number of questions about new laws in 2025, and the truth is there are a couple of new laws that were passed and took effect in January of this year. However, those don't affect us. They are specific to the counties of San Diego and the county of Marin, so they have no functional effect on how we operate here in Glendora. There are a couple things that I want to sort of put out front here, and this is not about the police department writing tickets to all of our young people that are out there riding an electric bike or a motorized board or anything of that nature. This is about traffic safety and community safety, and ultimately the safety of our young people that are using these devices. We want them to be responsible, we want them to be safe, but we also want them to be educated. There are three main components to any traffic-related item. The first is engineering. I'm not going to delve into that here. That's the purview of our engineering department. But there's also education and enforcement. It didn't make a whole lot of sense for the police department to engage in an enforcement campaign when it seemed readily apparent that probably most of these kids that are using electric bikes or motorized boards and their parents may not have understood what the law was. So we're going to talk a little bit about that here, both for benefit of council, for anyone that might be here, or for anybody that might be listening or watching. In terms of education, we embarked on a couple-pronged approach to make sure that we got the word out to our schools. We've got 2 different school resource officers, one that handles the high school and one that handles all the middle schools. We also have a traffic officer that went out to Sandburg Middle School and Goddard Middle School. They attended school assemblies. I was searching for the word there. And they did a safety presentation, talked about what the laws were, what's allowable and what's not. And then they went and spoke to some of the students at those particular schools that had electric bikes. And then they followed up and had a conversation with a small number of parents whose children were riding those bikes back and forth to school. The whole focus of this is so that we let people know what the law is. Our goal, like I said before, is not to write tickets. Our goal is to achieve compliance. And if we can achieve that compliance with education instead of enforcement, so much the better. It lets the youngsters that are using these bikes know what they can do and what they can't do, and make sure that they're safe when they do it. So there are 3 different types of electric bikes that you see here. There's a Class 1, a Class 2, and a Class 3. They're all similar in the sense that you have to pedal them to get them moving, and that there's an electric motor that assists in the propulsion of that bike. For a Class 1 and a Class 2, they both have a top speed of 20 miles per hour. You're not required to wear a helmet with them unless you're under the age of 18. The only difference between a Class 1 and a Class 2 bike is that a Class 2 bike has sort of a throttle control that's similar to that of a motorcycle. A Class 3 electric bike has a top speed of 28 miles per hour. You must be at least 16 years of age or older to ride that bike, and it requires a helmet at all times independent of age. One of the things about a Class 3 bike is they're not supposed to modify them to exceed that 28 mile per hour limit. Whether or not someone has done that is usually readily apparent by how fast they're going when they're whipping along at 45 miles an hour on Route 66. Okay, one of the other, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself there. Moving along to electric motorized boards. They can't be manufactured to exceed 20 miles per hour, and they're only supposed to be going a maximum of 15 miles per hour. So even though they're manufactured to go up to 20 miles per hour, they're not supposed to be operated at a speed greater than 15 miles per hour, independent of what the speed limit is for that particular street that they're being operated on. And they can't be on a roadway with a speed limit greater than 35 miles an hour. The operator's got to be at least 16 years old, and helmets required for each individual operating that independent of age. Getting to the vehicles that are illegal in any case, I know we've probably all seen in the lower left corner of the screen here something that looks a whole lot like a motorcycle and really has some tremendous top speed. These electronic motorcycles have pegs, they don't have pedals, and they are not legal for use on any part of public property. They're restricted to private property. They can't be on roads, they can't be on trails, they can't be on, using bike lanes. They're certainly not supposed to be on our schools or open fields. They're not allowable in the public right-of-way. Up in the upper right-hand corner, these are a little less common than they used to be, but you'll see a motorized skateboard there. Included among the vehicles that are not supposed to be on the roadway are the little pocket mini bikes that you often see. They're a little less common than they used to be since the advent of the electronic motorcycle that you see on the lower left corner of your screen. Moving on to low-speed vehicles. So there's oftentimes a little bit of confusion about what's a golf cart and what's a low-speed vehicle. Golf carts are designed for the specific purpose of, you guessed it, golfing. They are not to be on the roadway with one small exception. They can travel adjacent to a golf course. Obviously, we all know there's one part of our city that has this, Amelia, north of Route 66, but south of Country Club. There's a signal sort of out there in the middle of nowhere where golf carts can cross the roadway from the east side of the Country Club over to the golf course proper on the west side. That's perfectly reasonable, perfectly legal. Those vehicles are not to be on the roadway because they're not equipped with certain safety features and they can't maintain the appropriate speed. So stay with me here. A low-speed vehicle looks a lot like a golf cart, acts a lot like a golf cart, but is quite different. So the difference between a low-speed vehicle and a golf cart is that a low-speed vehicle has to be able to maintain a minimum of 20 miles per hour, and you got 1 mile to get from 0 to 20. As long as you can get from 0 to 20 in that 1 mile, you fulfill that portion of the requirement, okay? They can't be on streets that have a speed in excess of 35. So along Route 66, no good. Arrow Highway, even more no good. They have to travel between 20 and 25 miles per hour. They have to have bumpers, seat belts, mirrors, turn signals, stop lamps, headlamps, and you have to have a driver's license to legally operate them. They have to be insured and they have to be registered. Those are some of the requirements that we have thus far. In terms of a educational component to low-speed vehicles, I don't know if you've seen our social media, but there's a section on e-bikes and low-speed vehicles that we put out on Glendora PD's Facebook page. The Glendora Unified School District was kind enough to also put it on their social media page and to place it in their Glendora Connection report that went out in January. We are planning to reach out to the various coaches for a lot of our leagues that, baseball, soccer, basketball, Lassie League, all those types where you see more of these low-speed vehicles, and make sure that the parents that attend those events are familiar with what the requirements are so they don't unwittingly violate the law. That concludes the presentation for low-speed vehicles and e-bikes, and I'm happy to answer any questions that council may have.
Thank you, Captain. I'll start with Karen. Any questions?
No, thank you. Very thorough, very good examples, and answers a lot of questions that we get asked a lot. Is that legal? Can they do that? Why is that? So now we could say, look at this fabulous education that Captain Stabio has provided. And you can look and see for yourself what is legal and what is not. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Mendel?
Well, I would say exactly the same words. There's a golf cart place right down here on Foothill. Do they explain what the rules are when they sell or rent a golf cart so people are aware of kind of what they're doing other than just, hey, let's go rent a golf cart and have it for the day?
I don't know that I'd be able to answer that. I've seen the business. I've been in there once or twice, but I haven't actually asked them that question, so
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Well, it might be
But I
good
don't
for
know
us
that I can
to
answer.
maybe stop by and educate them. The other thing is, what happens when an officer sees a kid doing stuff that we all did as kids, but it's not a healthy thing? Is there an effort to ever stop them? Can they be ticketed? Can the parent be held for what the kid's doing? I mean, I think probably most of us have seen kids doing stuff on Glendora Avenue and Lorraine and other streets. Just curious kind of what our policy is there.
So in the context of, vehicle code laws and e-bikes and low-speed vehicles, yes, they can absolutely be ticketed if they're violating the law. And all the other vehicle codes that apply to bicycles and to cars also apply to folks that are riding electronic bicycles. You have to obey stop signs. You have to obey stoplights. You have to be traveling on the right side of the road. You have to be traveling at a safe speed for the prevailing conditions. In With respect to can parents be held liable for the actions of the child, I think it probably depends on the circumstance. Now, if you're talking about a 14-year-old driving a street legal low-speed vehicle where they're unlicensed, yeah, the potential is that that vehicle could be impounded. Now, we seek to strike a balance, but sometimes the egregiousness of the offense will dictate the enforcement actions that are taken.
Yeah, okay, great, thank you. Excellent job.
Thank you. Michael?
Thank you for your presentation. Just one question is, do you have any statistics of any injuries from these e-bikes and electric scooters and?
So I think we have a total amount of about 50 calls for service related to e-bikes in the last 12 months, which statistically is a very small percentage. So are you asking
Any
about
injuries?
I think we had one collision that occurred some months back where someone was injured, but I don't believe they were a juvenile.
Okay, thank you.
Shauna?
Well, as the council member that's a mom with young kids, I feel like I can hear a collective groan throughout Glendora right now. A lot of my peers have these vehicles and kids have these vehicles. So I think it's important to make sure people know, like, we're just trying to keep people safe, especially kids. I think it's important to keep our kids safe. My own son has an electric bike, and he got in an accident on it. And until you have had to clean road rash off your child screaming in agony, that really brings it home as to how dangerous these things can be. And he was not going fast at all. So I think, I personally am glad that, we're going to start enforcing some of this. I do have a question. At one of the schools here in town, I've had several questions about individuals who ride the motorized scooters with children and the concern around that. What is the process for someone in the community to either report a violation, if that's what they want to do? Like, what is your recommendation if somebody in the community sees something that is concerning?
If you see something that you think is unsafe, absolutely call the police department. We can always send an officer out to verify whether or not there's a violation of law. With respect to, if you're talking about a motorized scooter where it's a board, those are operator only. You're not supposed to be carrying passengers on that. I saw the chief coming up on my behind me there. Thought he might want to weigh in. We're always available. We never close. We're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you see something that's concerning, say something. It's what we're here for.
All right. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, Chief?
Let me just, Captain Stabio did a great job, and just to kind of emphasize one thing that he talked about and some of the questions that we got. We plan on obviously doing some enforcement. We've already partaken in a very big educational campaign, including part of this. And we'll work with our partners in engineering to do anything we can on that front. But as far as education, we're not trying to write a bunch of tickets. There was a question about buying an electric vehicle, what you already have, things like that. Captain Stabio talked about it, but I just want to really emphasize that this is a time for our community to engage with us and for us to engage with our community. If you're thinking about buying an electric vehicle and you don't know what the laws are and you don't know exactly what you're buying, come and talk to our traffic officer. She's a wonderful expert on this topic. She can help anybody in the community that's thinking about buying it to make sure that it is what they are wanting to get, and it's legal. And they can go on, they can talk about the nuances of exactly what they want to get and why they want to get it. Our school resource officers are very educated in this. So what I anticipate is hopefully some parents and some students reach out to our school resource officers, reach out to our traffic officers, and ask, I have this, or I'm thinking about buying this for my children. Give me some advice. What are the laws? I mean, they can talk specifically about what they're going to do. It's part of our outreach that we do on a regular basis. And another kind of on a related topic, we also have a specialist that installs car seats and does child safety stuff at the police department. So if you have a small child and you want to know what the safest way for them to travel in their vehicle, your vehicle or any other vehicle, come and talk to us, and we'll be able to help you out kind of on all fronts. So I just want to emphasize it's a great opportunity for us to engage with the community. So ask. If you have questions, ask, and we'll be happy to talk about it.
Thank you, Chief. I echo that, and I'm very pleased to see the educational aspect toward being compliant, being forefront, and that's always encouraging. I think it's rather novel that the low-speed vehicles or the neighborhood electric vehicles are becoming popular. Makes sense, frankly. But I think as a community, we need to make sure that they're doing that in the compliant manner and not just turn a blind eye to it. So I look forward to the increased awareness and helping the people be successful at it. So thank you, Chief. Thank you, Captain. All right, moving on to our next item, consent calendar. Items on the consent calendar will be enacted in one motion without individual discussion unless a council member has requested it be removed for separate discussion. Does anyone wish to pull or comment on any of the consent items?
Move to approve items 7 through 9.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
I'll conduct oral roll call. Councilmember Davis,
Yes.
Councilmember Alias,
Yes.
Councilmember Thompson,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Alowis,
Yes.
Mayor Friedenau.
Yes,
Motion carries 5-0.
thank you. Motion passes. Very good. Next, we have an update to fill an unscheduled vacancy on the Community Services Commission, Office Number 3, with a term expiring June 30th, 2027. I'd like to invite City Clerk Specialist Lorena Cordova to come up and report. Lorena.
Thank you. So good evening, Mayor and City Council. Tonight, I am here to speak to you on the City Council appointed board and commission recruitment for an unscheduled vacancy. On December 13, 2024, the City Clerk's office received notice of a resignation from Mallory Burrell, who served Office Number 3 of the Community Services Commission. An unscheduled vacancy recruitment was set to fill the vacancy with an unexpired term ending June 30th, 2027. A notice of unscheduled vacancy was prepared and posted to the city's website, bulletin boards, city's local cable channel on December 13, 2024, and advertised in the Examiner for December 26th and January 16th. Staff is asking City Council to fill an open, unexpired vacancy for Office Number 3 of the Community Services Commission with the term expiring June 30th, 2027. At the closing of this recruitment, the City Clerk's office received a total of 5 applications for your consideration. 1 application was on file, and we received 4 new ones. And I can report tonight that all applicants meet the eligibility requirements of GMC 2.18.040. For your consideration, I bring to you the following options. Option 1, if additional applications are desired, direct staff to extend application deadline and report back in February. Option 2, direct staff to schedule interviews and with applicants for the Tuesday, February 11, 2025 special meeting. Or 3, provide direction to staff. So tonight, staff is recommending that the City Council, 1, receive, update, and provide direction to staff on appointing applicants to fill an unscheduled vacancy on the Community Services Commission, Office Number 3, term ending June 30th, 2027, and 2, confirm City Council availability for a special meeting on Tuesday, February 11th, 2025 to conduct interviews and appoint. This concludes my presentation, and I'm available to answer any questions.
Great, thank you, Lorena. Open for discussion. Karen, would you like to, any questions, comments?
I would recommend that we either, 1, go ahead with the interviews or open it up for any other additional applicants and then have interviews.
Shauna?
I have no questions.
Kendall?
No, there's nothing to add, and I would recommend that we follow items 1 and 2 when it's appropriate.
Michael?
I'm in favor of option 2, just to schedule the interviews. We already have a number of applicants already.
Okay. And I would concur. I thank those applicants for their interest and consideration to serving. I only have one ask, if you will, that when we do the interviews, sometimes in the past, if we had an application on file, we may not have interviewed that person. But since that application's been on file for almost a year and a half, I would like to re-interview that candidate just to freshen it up and include him in the all of the interviews, but certainly.
I'll move
With that.
option 2.
Okay, we
Second.
have a motion and a second for option 2. Madam Clerk, if you call for the vote, please.
Councilmember Davis?
Yes.
Councilmember Elias?
Yes.
Councilmember Thompson?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Alowis?
Yes.
Mayor Friedenthal?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, announced, motion carried. Thank you very much. Thank you, Lorena. Next item is new business for the approval of a service contract service agreement with RSG Inc. for consulting services related to the annexation of unincorporated areas within the City of Glendora's sphere of influence. And presenting tonight will be Principal Planner Hans Friedel. Hans, welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. So I'm here tonight asking Council to approve a contract between the city and RSG for professional consulting services to assist Glendora in processing the annexation of 5 unincorporated areas that are within our municipal influence area. The amount is for roughly just under $160,000, which does include the standard 10% contingency that we've used with our contracts. So by way of some background, as part of the city's 2023 to 2025 strategic plan, City Council included a program to consider annexation of county islands or unincorporated areas within the city's sphere of influence. Staff has identified 5 remaining islands and presented a report to council in this last summer, 2024. In response, council directed staff to negotiate an agreement and return with a recommendation. And the first step in that process is securing a consultant to help with that work. And I know that RSG's proposal was included in that presentation last summer. In California, just some overview. Local government boundary changes are managed by local agency formation commissions, or LAFCO for short here. California annexation law grants LAFCO agencies the authority to review and approve annexation proposals. Annexation also involves, I think important to mention, negotiation with LA County, which these unincorporated areas are part of, on tax transfer or tax agreement, and then transfer of the RENA share, so their share of the housing that might go with those areas. In terms of annexation areas, here's a map that just kind of shows, this is a newer map we made, and I think the staff report has some, in the addenda, some sort of close-ups of them, but these are basically clockwise, the 5 areas, with the biggest being that undeveloped land up north, up against the Los Angeles County Forest. There's just over roughly 600 residents in these unincorporated areas, and 634, I think, was the total according to a GIS analysis. And the 4 other areas, other than that big number 1 up on the north there, are all developed residential areas. So the contract itself, as I mentioned, is for just under $160,000, so it's like $145,422 plus a 10% contingency. I will mention there will be a future question, will have to be determined whether or not this is exempt from CEQA or does require CEQA environmental review or environmental review under CEQA in California. If so, the city would then have to go secure a CEQA consultant or a consultant to help partner in preparing whatever kind of study or report, depending on the path that it would have to go. To answer that will be something that we'll have to work with LAFCO and the Attorney's Office on as we study this more. Overall timeline is estimated to be around 2 to 3 years, and that again depends on whether it's CEQA exempt or not. Kind of a high-level overview of the tasks. that we expect to be part of this contract, or, preparation of the required submittal materials for LAFCO, whether or not there's CEQA, preparation of those materials, coordination and facilitation of discussions, meetings, and negotiations, which again, RSG will help us with, confirmation of key details and submittal requirements. We do have to redo the outdated pre-zone map and ordinance, which is like 50-plus years old due to its obsolescence. And so that be part of this process. And then RSG will help us with preparation of materials, technical analyses, reports, et cetera, and then, of course, public engagement and outreach. So with that, staff recommends council proceed with this contract with RSG to move this annexation along. I do understand that I think Jim Simon with RSG is here tonight as well, the consultant behind me. And then, of course, I and Jeff are here for any other questions as well. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Hans, and welcome, Mr. Simon. Is there any questions or comments? Mendel?
Mayor, thank you. And I support this, supported this for a long time. I hope that we can get this done. I also know that I haven't talked to everybody that lives in these areas, but a lot of them support it because of the public safety that often is an issue, and it's not a negative thing because I know that we respond and we're helpful and we're engaged, but it will be able to be clear. The only concern that I have, and since your consultant's here, I'll beat up on him instead of you, Hans, because you're one of our own, and he's just a paid guy, and he gets paid to get beat up. But 2 to 3 years, my gosh, that's just, come on, you can do better than that. And I know that there's LAFCO and there's all these people that have their hand out and stuff, but I would urge us to push our consultant, and I'm glad you're here. You came out on a cold night when, you'd much rather be home watching a Clipper game or a Kings game or something like that. But that's the only thing. I mean, let's just get this done. And 2 to 3 years, especially 3 years, seems like a long time. So.
I can jump in on that.
And I know, Hans, if you were in charge, you'd have it done within a year.
I like to.
Mr. Simons, I don't know. I mean, don't you want to get paid like quick?
Hans, I think
the
this is
quicker
where
the better. Come on.
Hans, I think this is where you blame the council. So I think this is where you say, hey, this is going to come back to you like several more times. And you're
Good.
going to have lots of questions and
Okay.
ask why it's so expensive to maintain roads in areas we don't own and what the county wants to pay. So not to jump in too much, but the reason why they have the estimate, and preferably it's done in 18 months, obviously, but some statutory requirements, but it is a negotiation and there is an overall negative financial impact and could be a significant one. So this process will tell the council that. So it isn't just a one-time approval, it's a many-step approval by the council. So.
And also, a lot of the the timeframes are designated by the Cortese-Knox-Hertzberg Act, which you have to follow for LAFCO annexations. And just from my experience, it's a very long process. In one case, not an annexation, on just a sphere of influence application, it took the city over 4 years, and it was ultimately denied by LAFCO. And so it's a long process. So I'm sure that Hans will do everything he can, though, to speed up the process.
We have a few more gray hairs at the end of this.
I'm for it. Great job. Thank you.
Thank you, Mendel. Shauna?
Thank you for your presentation. I support this. I think it would be nice to have a continuity of services in these areas. Although, in my experience, there are quite a few people who live in these areas who like being part of the county. Like, how does that factor in? Does their opinion matter in this? Is that taken into consideration? Like, what happens?
Well, I think That's kind of an interesting question.
I'll take it from
Yeah,
Hans.
maybe I'll let
I will
Adam
make him
take
answer that. So there's a couple stipulations that have to be done. The first one is if they're within a certain size county island, it's automatic. So yes, they're heard, there's some public output, but overall they don't vote. Depending on the interpretation on what is and what is not a county island, there are some areas that could be subject to a vote, and then those individuals would have more of a say than not. So
A protest vote.
correct. So there is a number of steps that have to occur in order to come up with some of these determinations, including conversations with the county. So the long answer is it depends. The short answer is there will be lots of public outreach. However, depending on the size of what we call a county island and how it's defined, they may not have a vote.
Or do we think that any of the 5 islands that we're talking about are going to be large enough to require a vote?
Perhaps one.
All right.
Okay, thank you. Karen?
No, thank you, Hans. And I was just going to say, Mr. Mayor, I think you now have on record that when this comes back to the council every time, that you look for expediency, quoting the gentleman to my left, that you need to move this along. So there we go.
Pedal down. Okay. Michael?
Thank you, Hans, for your report. There's also one other step, too. Don't we have to negotiate this with the CEO for the county?
Yeah, there's the county negotiation part as well. So.
Is that included in the 2,
It is.
3 years? Okay, great. Thank you.
All right, and I would hope that since we're not building something or moving trees and changing things, CEQA would be a minimal impact, I hope, but CEQA might touch places I don't even know. So I hope it's expedient. And Mr. Simon, we look forward to your successes on presenting this for us. Thank you. All right, at this point.
I'll move items 1 through 3.
Second it.
Mr. Raymond, have a comment? Okay.
Oh.
I'll now conduct a roll call. Councilmember Davis?
Yes.
Councilmember Alias?
Yes.
Councilmember Thompson?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Alves?
Yes.
Mayor Friedenau?
Yes, please.
Motion carries 5-0.
All right, great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Hans. Our next item, I believe we're going to kind of present together as a large item and with one presentation, and then we'll vote, I guess, separately on each. But it's relating to awarding contracts to EXP US Services, Inc. and TKE Engineering, Inc. for professional design services for the water and street improvement projects coming up, and they'll be defined. So presenting for us is Interim Assistant Public Works Director, wow, that's a long name, Valerie Velasquez Santoya. Welcome, Valerie.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, and good evening, Council. So as you mentioned, we're going to do a combined report for items 12 and 13, asking Council to award two professional services agreement for 2 projects, and then give you a brief update on the capital improvement program. So we'll go ahead and get started with the Colorado Avenue Water and Street Improvement Project. And I'll just briefly state and remind everyone that the city does have their strategic plan, and as part of the 7 goals, one of them is to improve and maintain the city's infrastructure and facilities. These 2 items are going to go ahead and contribute to the progress of that goal. So with the Colorado Water and Street Improvement, we're looking to go ahead and do improvements to both water and street, going ahead and replacing approximately 8,500 linear feet of aging water main with new 8-inch piping, install upgraded water service laterals, and add new fire hydrant assemblies to meet the city's design standards. In addition, we'll go ahead and conduct some street improvements, pavement resurfacing, and rehabilitation, taking a look at the sidewalks and curbs, making an assessment to do improvements where necessary to make sure that those are accessible and have ADA compliance. And then we're going to go ahead and conduct this and also new signage and striping, and we'll be completing this in 2 phases. Tonight, we're here to address phase 1, which is the design phase, preparing the plans, specifications, and estimates. And then phase 2 is construction, and ultimately, upon completion, we have enhanced water system reliability, smoother streets for residents, reduce long-term maintenance costs, and improve the overall appearance of the area. So this is a look at the project location. It's going to go ahead and improve the water and street in the area between Glendora Avenue and Lamar Park to the east, Route 66 to the north, and Mauna Loa Avenue to the south. So Colorado runs right down the middle, but it's also going to address all of those 8 adjacent streets that are highlighted here and listed. So in compliance with our purchasing ordinance, Glendora Municipal Code 2.40, we went ahead and issued a request for proposal on September 19th, and that RFP was soliciting firms to go ahead and submit proposals for the design work, as well as some construction support with Phase 2, helping to go ahead and prepare the RFP, answer questions, go ahead and provide construction oversight, and then deliver the final as-built drawings. So by the October 10th deadline, we had received 8 proposals, which are included on that table to the right, the upper table, of course. You've got the 8 firms listed in alphabetical order. All of the proposals were reviewed, and we narrowed it down to the top 3 based on qualifications, relevant experience, project understanding, presentation, and deliverability. And ultimately, staff is recommending that council go ahead and make the award to TK Engineering for $195,225. This project is not included in the current 25 fiscal year adopted budget, so we're also coming to council requesting an appropriation. And the appropriation would be made from 2 funds. We'd go ahead and split it 30% to Measure M and 70% from the Water Capital Fund. The lower table on the right goes ahead and shows you the balances in those 2 funds. It will give you the appropriation request from each one and then show you that there's still an adequate remaining balance after the deduction for that appropriation. So this is a general tentative timeline, just to give you an idea of what we're looking at. Tonight, we're asking for the agreement to be awarded for the design work, and then we'll go ahead and issue a notice to proceed next week. They'll come back to us with a 30% preliminary design in April, and then we'll also get a 60 and a 90% design, and 100 we expect in early September. Then they'll go ahead and work on getting the construction bid documents for us so we can solicit the construction award. And then we'll return to City Council for Phase 2 construction, likely in December, and request you to award the contractor for construction. And then we'll probably need to appropriate additional funds at that time as well. So that is Colorado, and now we'll go ahead and move along to the Glendora Avenue Water and Street Improvement Project. And this is going to be similar. I'm going to also point out that, again, with our strategic plan, this is going to address the infrastructure, but it's also going to address another one of the strategic goals, and that is to implement strategic economic development. As we know, Glendora Avenue is one of only 3 streets that crosses the 210 freeway, connecting the north to the south. It's a major 4-lane collector road, facilitating commerce and supporting local business. And enhancing our infrastructure is going to help the city attract investment into the city and future growth, making it a vital component of the city's economic and infrastructure strategies. So again, this is going to be completed in 2 phases. The design work, Phase 1, which we're here for tonight, and then Phase 2 construction. So we have a map here of the area that will be improved along Glendora Avenue. It's about a 1-mile stretch running from Gladstone Street to the south up to Route 66 to the north. And again, similar improvements for this project, doing some water main infrastructure improvements, water main replacement, 2 water mains, water service laterals, fire hydrant assemblies. With the street, we're going to enhance approximately 1 mile of roadway rehabilitation, address the curb ramps so that they're ADA compliant, and finish with new signage and striping. In addition, the Glendora Avenue project has a couple additional tasks as well. replacing the check valves and water sampling stations, and also we have traffic signals, so we're going to go ahead and upgrade those while we're out there as well. So the Glendora Avenue project is going to be significantly more complex and challenging than the Colorado project, not just because of the additional tasks, but it also is going to require extensive utility coordination and permitting with multiple agencies. You have the Big Dalton Wash flood channel running under Glendora Avenue, so we're going to have to coordinate with the LA Flood Control. You've got the 210 freeway running above Glendora, so you've got to work with Caltrans. You've got a high-pressure gas line adjacent, and in some cases in conflict with the water line, so we're going to have to work with the gas company. Then we've got overhead poles, lines and poles in conflict with an accessible path, making ADA compliance challenging, so working with Southern California Edison and the Foothill Transit Authority for their bus routes once we get into construction. So again, it's not just the power poles, but there's going to be accessible ADA path challenges along the way. So working with limited right-of-way will be something they'll need to work with as well. So again, similarly in compliance with our ordinance, we issued the RFP in August 22nd, again for the design work and assistance with the construction support. By the best and final due date of October 28th, we had 2 responsive bidders. Again, we reviewed those and we scored them and interviewed the 2 firms, and we are recommending that council make this award to eXp US Services in the amount of $806,172. And we'll note that eXp is the higher bidder. However, this project is going to be a high-profile project. The proposal submitted by eXp clearly identifies the complexities, but also provides strategic, well-thought-out approaches and solutions to those potential issues. So the extended timeline, you'll also notice that eXp's timeline for delivery is about 10 months later than TKE. And in this case, that is because, again, we feel that they really understand the challenges presented, the coordination required with the external agencies, the environmental reviews and regulatory permitting, and the need for extensive research to reduce any risks that are involved, to mitigate that risk, reduce the likelihood of delays, need for change orders, or even rework during the construction phase. So this one, again, is not currently budgeted in the current fiscal year. It is scheduled in future year. However, we want to go ahead and get this started because we do feel that this street cannot wait as long as this is going to take. It's a, again, complex and challenging project, so we're requesting an appropriation. Similarly, a 30-70 split between Measure M and the Water Fund. The amounts here that are the beginning balances already consider that council is going to make the appropriation for the Colorado, so that's already been removed. So the remaining available balance that you see after this appropriation will be taken into account the deduction for both the Colorado and Glendora Avenue project. Take a little drink. Okay. Tentative timeline again, we're here tonight to go ahead and award the design agreement. Again, notice to proceed will be issued next week. 30% preliminary design in August, and 100% design next year in May. They'll go ahead and assist with the preparation of those construction bid documents in the middle of May, and then we return to council for construction next year in August. So again, this is going to be a complex, time-consuming project. That concluded my Glendora presentation, and now I'll go ahead and move on to the capital improvements. So again, capital improvement projects is going to work on tackling those goals that we have under the city's strategic plan, maintaining financial stability, enhancing and modernizing the organization, improving and maintaining the city's infrastructure, and also there's that fourth one, implementing economic development. We have within our 2-year budget, which City Council approved on June 27th, 16.3 million of funded projects for fiscal year 23-24, and 12.2 million for fiscal year 24-25. And that's part of the 5-year capital improvement plan that the city has budgeted $120.9 million for. So this Public Works Department has been diligently working at tackling many projects. As a newer member to the department, I have a renewed appreciation for all that they are doing. They're very, very busy. The last update, quarterly update, was provided in October 22nd. At that time, most of the completed projects were done, so I'm not going to go over all of those, but I do want to mention that date, so if anyone's watching or wants to kind of get more about what we've completed, our Public Works Director, Bill, did a great job of giving detail at the October 22nd council meeting. So I'm going to just touch on what has been brought on as a new project on the plate for the Public Works Department, and those are going to be the design of the corporate yard improvement project. That's demoing and designing for a new city yard that's going to house the parks, streets, facilities, and fleet divisions. That was awarded on November 12th, and we expect to be back with a final design next year in October, November. At the last city council meeting, the city council went ahead and awarded the pavement management award. So we'll go ahead and get that updated and back to council, probably in summer of this year. With an on-call agreement, we went ahead and issued a task order for a citywide engineering and traffic speed survey. And then number 15, people movement project. That is not a new item, but I did want to just to call it out because I'll be coming back to council on the 25th to provide you guys with a comprehensive update. And I know that's something that community members have been interested in, so return on the 25th to hear more about that. So right now in the works, we have about $64 million of projects, 15, and I will mention there's a little asterisk there. So a lot of that is grant funding as well. So right now, what is in the pipeline and will be coming your way is request proposals that are out. Tonight, we are asking council to award on the Glendora Avenue and the Colorado Avenue water and street projects. In February, we'll be bringing forward the CDBG grind and overlay project, the ADA self-evaluation and transition plan, which takes a look at all of our cities, facilities, all of our parks, all of our streets, all of our sidewalks, basically everything, just to make sure that we have a plan to move towards compliance with ADA. Cypress water and street improvement coming to you soon. Improvements to the LaFetra Center, to the Rock House, to the Girl Scout hut and day camp building, and then also working on getting the transportation yard parking lot repavement out to RFP as well. So definitely keeping us busy. But with that, that concludes my update. City Clerk, I've got recommendations. I don't know if you want me to read them all out separately or...
So just for clarification purposes for the two contracts, if we could vote on each one separately.
And I'm available for any questions.
Great. Wow. Lots going. Thank you very much. Bring it back to the panel for discussion. Let's discuss number 12 first, which is the Glendora Avenue Water and Street Project Program. With that, Shauna.
Well, at the risk of showing my status as the newbie up here, I felt like I should ask my questions publicly, because if I have these questions, residents probably have them too. Let me see here. So, and I think I know the answer to this, but the timeline is quite a bit shorter for completion of Phase 1 on the Colorado project versus the Glendora Avenue project? Is that just from the complexities with all the different agencies and whatnot?
Right, there's going to be several designs and review process and permitting through all of those different agencies that are not going to be a part of the Colorado.
Okay, that's what I thought, just wanted to confirm. And one of the things as I was reading through the report that jumped out at me was the fact that EXP, so they bid on Glendora Avenue, but they didn't bid on Colorado. And we went with them on Glendora Avenue because they seemed to understand the scope of the project more and be more qualified than TKE. However, we went with TKE on the other one. Are we confident that they're the right choice on the other one?
Yes, and again, Colorado doesn't have all of the other complexities that the Glendora Avenue one does. And we have worked with TKE in the past. Granted, it has been more on construction oversight, but they have done design work. And so we are comfortable in the interview and the proposal that they can do the Colorado. And we're excited to be able to give them the opportunity to work on this one. If they perform well, you know, that we'll be able to work with them more. Of course, we're going to go through our requirements for RFP process, but yes, we do believe that they are experienced and qualified to do the job.
Is there a reason why EXP didn't bid on Colorado, or just maybe two different kinds of projects?
I can only, I can't say for certain, but I would guess Glendora is such a big one that they were probably, you know, hoping to get that one and know that that was going to take a lot of their time. But that's just a guess.
Okay. All right. That's it for me.
Great, thank you. Randall?
Valerie, thank you for an excellent job. And boy, I sure am glad that you're there to help out. I know Bill is too. When Bill was hired, I don't know what Adam said, except we sure don't want you to ever be bored here. But I really applaud the technical skill that both of you bring, that the entire team brings, the vision and the work that's going to have to be done to get these done. I know that we're all going to lean into it. These are important roads. Glendora Avenue for sure is. And I know that the patience that we've all shown with our goal line will be shown for you guys too. I really don't have anything more to add. You've covered it well. I'm happy that we have been able to secure grants and that we're financially as strong as we are. Remind folks that Measure E and Measure Z were both passed for the purpose of keeping sales tax here so we could do things like this here. And although all of those funds are not going to be used for this, it's just an example of what we can do. So excellent job. Thank you for everything that you put into all of this. And I can't wait to see it happen, because Glendora Avenue is a mess. Although Bill and Moises did save us, contrary to what our city manager thought. But now he's come over to our side too. It is a joy to be able to drive a portion of that as smooth as it is. But pretty soon, the entire mile is going to be nice. So thank you.
Under the asphalt, I guess. Right? So, Karen?
Yeah. No, great report and great projects that you all are working on. Thank you. And I'm ready to make a motion to approve this, but I don't know if there's other questions or comments.
Hold that thought. I'll come back to you. Michael?
Thank you, Valerie. It's a year and a half to do the engineering for this, for the schedule.
Just about.
How long do you think it would take for actual construction, guesstimation?
We're guessing 2, 3 years.
We're looking 5 years to redo this? 5
14
years?
to 20 months.
Wow, it's a long time. It's got to get done, but it's a long time. Who owns underneath the freeway? Is it, we have an easement? Does Caltrans own the freeway?
Caltrans, right
Caltrans?
away.
Can they kick in any money for their property?
I don't think so. Well, we can find out.
Yeah,
can ask.
please.
Yeah.
That might be the best section of asphalt in that whole mile, so that,
Maybe, might be newer. No, you answered my questions. Thank you.
thank you very much. Echo all the great things, and what a challenge. And remember, we have this little storm drain that we got to tunnel under to do anything, so that adds to the complexities indeed. Perhaps this is an opportunity to convince Southern California Edison to underground the power cables along that section of highway, but that's down the road to be looked at. With that, I think I heard Karen suggest she might have a motion.
Yes, sir. I move that we approve item 12.
Second.
Moved by Karen, seconded by Mendel. Madam Clerk, would you call for the vote?
Councilmember Davis,
Yes.
Councilmember Alias,
Yes.
Councilmember Thompson,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Alowis,
Yes.
Mayor Friedenau.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Great, thank you very much. Moving on to item 13, which is the appropriately named Colorado Avenue Water Improvement Program. Do we have any further questions or discussion on this item?
Yeah,
Seeing
I
none.
move to approve.
Motion by Karen,
Second.
second by Michael. Madam Clerk, would you please call the vote?
Councilmember Davis,
Yes.
Councilmember Alias,
Yes.
Mayor, Councilmember Thompson,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Alowis,
Yes.
Mayor Friedenau.
Yes, thank you.
Motion carries 5-0.
Wonderful, passes. Valerie, thank you. Public Works all, thank you very much. Looking for more information and fun as the developments come along. With that, I believe we have concluded our agendized business, and I will bring it back to member closing comments and statements. Okay?
Happy Lunar New Year.
Okay, great. With that, I would like to adjourn the meeting at 8:28. Thank you all for